Ah! Oh, 1 second. That is all good. I think we're probably live at a weird time. We haven't streamed for ages. We are all live. That is good. Let's just start. Let's just chat. Hi, I'm BoredGamer. Happy 2021. No, 2022. That's the current year. I always get that one wrong. I hope everyone is doing well. What was that noise? That was probably my phone hitting some pecan nuts. Actually, literally what it was. So I hope everyone is having a good start to the year. At the moment, there's not much going on with Star Citizen news. So Cloud Imperium Studios sort of running on a skeleton crew as they go on their sort of holidays. I thought they were going to be back in the office today, and some of them might be, but it is a bank holiday Monday, so expect the start of the sort of normal TIG schedule. I would say it's not going to be tomorrow. It's going to be next week, realistically. But people will start coming back into the office tomorrow, and you'll start to see the normal week start again next week. And you'll see like a big monthly report. You'll see them start to talk about 3.16.1 and 3.17, stuff like that. So I think that the end of 2021 has left Star Citizen in a pretty good place. And as far as playability and accessibility of the game goes, obviously it was a lot of it was gutted. Gutted is the wrong word. It was a very light patch, 3.16, and it is effectively the 3.15 branch with some added features on. Quite literally, they didn't break break off a branch to 3.16. They just added features onto 3.15. So I'm looking forward to 3.16.1's features of the new points of interest, interesting loot for exploring those points of interest and other points of interest, and laser trip mines to make it a bit more interesting and give a bit of more difficulty to those areas. So how's everyone doing? Hope you're doing all right. If you'd like to ask a question during the live stream, just question in brackets. Happy New Year, everyone. So with the large, more meaty monthly reports this month, because they combine basically November and December's together for the one at the beginning of January, we should see a lot of Squadron 42 information with that as well. Obviously, it's the Persistent Universe monthly reports and the Squadron 42 newsletter. Now, we know that there is a huge amount of movement with Squadron 42, especially this year. Chris Roberts, I believe, is already in the UK. They're moving a load of operations over to the UK and heavy heaters to the UK, and they're expanding their offices to over 1,000 people in the UK from 400. And they've got this massive new office in Manchester, which will be opening up at the end of Q1 or somewhat time in Q2. So I think that's pretty big for the game, and they've signed a 10-year lease on that property, which gives you an indication of Cloud Imperium's dedication to make the games. I hope it's not an indication of how long it's going to take the initial release version. I don't want to wait 10 more years before we've got Star Citizen's Persistent Universe. I'd like something akin to a beta within the next 5. I suppose we'll have to wait and see. A lot of people will say how long it's been developed is already too long, and conversely, other people would say even if it's another 15 years, they wouldn't mind waiting, because when it's done, and they're up for a great game, and you can play something now. So there's obviously a good melting pot and range of ideas and preferences in the community. I appreciate your Star Citizen daily videos. Keep up. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. I was talking to Space Tomato yesterday. He was interviewing me for our podcast, and it was very kind. And people seem to be very, very friendly and kind to me. I'm starts as an old guard now. So I do like making Star Citizen videos, and the reason we sort of get daily content from that is because I quite enjoy it. I am going to take time off occasionally. I've realised that that's good for sanity. But I can pre-record a lot of stuff. People seem to be okay with the content we got through the last week and the current couple of days in January, which was a lot lower effort content-wise. Because we just haven't had the time to do it, because I've been spending time with my family and getting chores and stuff done. With the volumetric cloud tech and the advent of cheap 2D fluid sims being used in 3D, do you think we might see an overhaul to the particle cards that are currently being used for volumetric sim? I don't know exactly the answer to that, because I don't know. I do know that Cloud Imperium are going to continue to iterate and improve their renderer and what they can do on the screen, and their sort of graphics quality. Obviously, they're not going to be overhauling to a new engine, but they will keep on modding it and adapting their Lumberyard/Star engine that they've made. I do think the Vulkan integration and some of the other sort of tweaks and improvements they'll be putting on later this year will be quite significant for that. Do you think that if we are really, really lucky, we might get the bartender to serve yet another drink within 5 years? Well, maybe the bartender will work as intended within the next year or so, and that'd be nice. Do you think we'll see salvage this year? Yes. So I'd be terribly disappointed if it gets pushed back from 3.18, just because it is a really, really, really wanted feature that has been repeatedly pushed back. And it's sort of got to the point of ridiculousness if they can't get that in. Do you still believe in the roadmap? I mean, they even move committed items now. Did they actually move any committed items off into 3.17? Or was it just laser drip mines and the new points of interest that were committed, and they said, yeah, it's still coming in 3.16, but we're putting it into 3.16.1. So I'm not going to overly be annoyed about the decisions with 3.16, because my preference has always been for the end of year patch to be stable and playable and accessible over having lots of new stuff in it. I mean, they should be able to, obviously, it's not mutually exclusive, they can do both, but if there's a choice of one or the other, and they go, look, let's just get it out, and then we can add the rest of those features in a 3.16.x patch, cool, I am sort of okay with that. So the roadmap is a good indicator of Cloud Imperium's focuses and targets, and what they plan to bring from the progress tracker on to the actual into actual in-game features, at least for the next 2 quarters. Yeah? Now, sometimes priorities change, and sometimes those features get delayed. But that is going to be, with whatever system they show us or tell us, that is going to be an issue. The roadmap is still a useful tool, and at least tells us what Cloud Imperium are targeting. And we can hold them more accountable by that. Because you go, oh, do you believe in it? Or, oh, it's that they can't even keep up with their own roadmap. Okay? We can talk to them about that. We can say, look, you're saying that you've got these targets and these things and you're not meeting them. Or that you're almost meeting them, you say you're almost meeting them, and then you're pushing one of those features off 2 quarters and not telling us why. So I do think communication is king, and Cloud Imperium, although are significantly better at communication than they have been pre-2016, and are getting better every year, in my opinion. I think probably objectively, if I got some metrics out, mostly objectively. Because obviously that sort of stuff is mostly subjective, unfortunately. I think that, yeah, it's still a useful tool. And still worth talking about. Do you think they will prioritise fixing the bugs and whatnot in the game at some point soon? No, Red Star. So they have a team that's dedicated on player experience, and they've got teams that are working on bug fixes and quality of life. However, when they branch off the game into each of its quarterly patches, typically anyway, there will be a load of new features there. They get the new features in, they get the game as stable as possible, they work on a couple of maybe point updates, and then they're on to the next branch, or they're already working on the next branch or whatever. They can't fully address all the bugs and issues and polish the game because they're constantly adding more, which changes a huge amount of other features in the game. Like, there's still integral core pieces that are missing. So if they spent a load of time polishing, you'd have this nice polished thing until they added a new core element, and then that would break everything again, and they'd have to spend a huge amount of time polishing again. So the reason the game is alpha still is because they are not going to spend time hugely polishing until the game is in a significantly better state, or has a significantly larger amount of features, or at least all its core features. Do you see what I mean? Once it's got all its core in, and that they are adding new features on top of it, rather than into it, if you see the sort of difference, then I think maybe bugs and polish will start to be more important and actually improve the game from patch to patch. But they'll add a new feature in, and it will break something that had been fixed a while ago, and that's consistently sort of happening. Now, I'm not saying that there's... they have to get it into a playable state, and hopefully the game is more and more playable every patch as they get better and better at fixing patches, fixing bugs, and there's less bugs to fix, technically, maybe. But the reason they don't spend a whole quarter or two on fixing bugs and getting the game really playable is because, yeah, it would not be time efficient. It would double the length of the development of the game further, and it's already a super slow development. Will we see the Liberator as the main carrier for the foreseeable future versus other larger ships finally being in-game? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be adopted. For me, the Liberator is probably the most versatile carrier. But, I mean, when talking about refueling and that sort of stuff, I still think that's going to be done by hand. So, yes, as a carrier, it's pretty good. But if you have the Kraken, it's more of a mobile space station. And it's got a lot more going on with it for that. For the servicing of ships, as far as I'm aware. I did love the Liberator because it's got good cargo, it can carry ground vehicles and ships and actually get them out very quickly and easily. It can have a load of room for marines. It's HOTAS controls. I don't have... HOTAS for a lot of people is the main way they play. I think it's the preferred way to play for a lot of people. I think technically it gives you the best control is dual stick. But HOTAS is my favourite. I use mouse and keyboard mostly just for ease of use. When is the normal Q1 patch release date? End of March is the target for the live 3.17 build. However, as we know, I think last year, for example, it was the 22nd of April they released the Q1 patch. They sort of target it then, but it's however long that the PTU phase lasts. It's sort of ready when it's ready, but they sort of target it as best they can for the end of March. Do you think we'll see any updates to modules for the Caterpillar or Retaliator anytime soon, perhaps close to the cargo refactor? That's interesting you say that. They have a couple of times wanted to get the Retaliator modules in, and I do think it's something that will come this year, assuming that they haven't deprioritized it randomly. Obviously, modularity is incredibly important to the game because it gives you a huge amount more customization you can do with the ships. But Caterpillar and Retaliator seem like the first two ships that you do modularity with. We know things like the Carrack's going to have modularity. Actually, lots of ships do, to be honest. Should I get a new PC for Star Citizen? It depends. So, what's your ability to play Star Citizen now? Do you desperately want to play Star Citizen now? And are you going to be using your PC for other things as well? Because potentially it's worth getting a PC as long as you're going to be playing other games and stuff. Maybe get a pre-built because probably cheaper than trying to source graphics cards. Maybe worth waiting just a little bit longer for the next generation of graphics cards. A little bit longer. I don't know when that's going to be, some point this year. Odds of the Merchantman this year, it's possible that we will see a Banner Merchantman at the end of the year. We do know that it's in active production now, and if a large enough team's working on it, and the stars align, then you'll see it later this year. How soon do we think the next update to the ships for sale will be? What? When they're going to sell ships again? 3.17 we'll see ships on sale. If they do Xenothreat 3.0 with like 3.16.1 patch or something, then you'll probably see a ship sale then. Obviously, we've got a major ship sale at the end of May with Fleet Week. So I haven't played House of the Dying Sun yet, but I know that's supposed to be quite a good ship combat space game. When do you think the Idris P will be back in stock? Potentially, you'll be able to get that as a limited sale during Fleet Week in May. If not, they sell a contingent of them in November. You can probably message customer service at Clan Imperium and poke them. They might tell you when, or they might be able to sort you out. I always think it's worth asking. Do you know what I mean? Do you think there's any chance we'll see a VR cockpit view a few years down the line? When both hardware and optimization have improved. Yeah, that's quite possible. I do think that we're going to see VR in Squadron 42 at some point, and you can certainly have a bodged version of VR in Star Citizen. But it'd be interesting to see if they fully integrate VR into Star Citizen's Persistent Universe in the future. Can I get size 1 weapons for the Aurora mount? For the Aurora? Yeah, you should be able to. You can get. Where can you get them? So me and Zin were talking about this the other day, and actually I was talking about this Space Demand as well. Because I don't use the starter ships so much anymore, I don't know where you can buy all the stuff for them. I just assume that the general ship shops, will the actual gear shops will sell size 1 weapons for the Auroras. But actually, thinking about starter ships, those starter ships should be up to gold standard. Do you know what I mean? Like, you want to prioritize Squadron 42 ships, and you want to prioritize then starter ships, so that people that are using the starter ships are like, this is a cool Star Citizen experience. You can use the item finder. You find anything you want. Universal item finder. Finder.cornerstonebase.space. I will link that down below. You think players will notice the increased amount of programmers at Short Place? What? What? When a quick impact in game. So are you talking about the expansion of Clan Imperium Studios? So, I think that it's going to be a quarter or two afterwards that you'll notice after they scale up. Also, it's going to take a while for them to hire those people. So you're going to see Clan Imperium probably now starting to proactively hire lots and lots and lots and lots of people. And it'll be interesting to see what sort of range of talent they get, because it's going to be mostly junior devs. Maybe they take a while to get off the ground, although you can get some great gems there. Or is it going to be a mixture of senior and junior devs? And where they're going to be recruiting from, they're going to be poaching them from other studios, things like that. Robert Johnston, oh my god, thank you so much. Are you going to post this so I have something to listen to on my upcoming 6-hour drive? If not, back off. No, I will make sure that this goes out as quickly as possible after I finished streaming. So don't you worry, my little bay Robert Johnston. You are a star and a legend, sir. Thank you very much. I'm not going to be streaming too long because I'm going over to my mate's house, my actual neighbours, 10 door down neighbour, to play some Age of Sigmar with some other people. We've started collecting Age of Sigmar Path to Glory sort of campaign that we're starting properly at the end of January. Lockdown's abiding anyway, and allowing. And I'm doing Graveblight Soul Lords, Soulblight Grave Lords, something like that. Undead vampires and skeletons and things. And base coated my skeletons. See how close we can get them to the camera. We're going for a red sort of cloth theme and ancient sort of coppery golden aged armor. I'm not sure. I'll take some pictures and put them up on my social media. I've got a good camera for that. I'm a reasonably good painter. Not like the best in the world or anything, but I used to, when I was young, I used to do pro painting as a business. I've got somewhat worse at it as I've got older, and I've realised my colour palette is much smaller, and I'm not great with airbrushes, which is the sort of new technique people use. At some point, I want to play John Crew at either 40k or Age of Sigmar, and load the guys up in Manchester at the Cloud Imperium Studios. Robert Johnston, I love you. You are a legend. Thank you so much. That's a ridiculous amount of money. You can always tell me to go F myself, especially when you pay me. Seawolf UK, thank you very much for the super chat as well. But, oh, you star. You're absolutely legend. Thank you so much, mate. A happy New Year. Genuinely, I hope you had a good one. But that goes to everyone, not just people that pay me money. Like, genuinely, thank you very much for watching and interacting with the channel. It is hugely appreciated. I saw they removed the Genesis of the progress tracker. Given they're working on NPC taxi missions, do you think we'll see it back on there by the end of the year? I don't think the Genesis is a priority, unfortunately. The reason for that is that the taxi missions and stuff can be done potentially in any ship. Not any ship, but a lot of ships. I think that NPC taxi missions will have a sub-section, which will be VIP missions that maybe you're only about to do in a 600i or an 890 jump, or that sort of more hotel-y luxury experience. And then there'll be another sort of evolution of that eventually, which will be the Endeavour's sort of large-scale passenger carrying. Now, what I do see the Genesis doing is being a ship that allows players to the NPCs. So basically, NPCs will control these Genesis ships that will fly from port to port and system to system. The players will be able to get on as well. Players and NPCs will be able to get on. And I think it's going to be a way to travel without having a ship that you don't have to rely on a platform. Again, Robert Johnston, thanks. No need to stream too long. 6 hours of nice. I'll try and chuck up some of my my older streams as well. I got sort of lazy with doing it, so apologies for that. I know a lot of people requested that I sort that out. When are you expecting 3.16.1 to be implemented? End of January, maybe. Yes, and the moment I'm expecting end of January, although we'll find out more if that's viable from Cloud Imperium probably next week. They'll probably tell us whether it's viable. How's your Christmas board? Did you play Uno? I did not play Uno. Otherwise, I'd probably have an Uno Verso card to repel questions. Though I do like Uno. It was pretty stress-free, my Christmas. Like Christmas dinner for my family, which went down pretty well. I did order a lot of it just in, so it was sort of like frozen or pre-made, a lot of it. But I obviously made my own gravy and a few of the other things like stuffing and picked some blankets and stuff. I did it, and I had a beef Wellington, and then I did a brace of chickens. I did them sort of more of a Christmas style. And then I had some smoked turkey. It's good. Did you get any pudding? My brother's partner made my dad's recipe Christmas pudding, which my dad had shared with her before he had passed away. It did have figs in it. It was a Christmas pudding, figgy in at least some way. It was good. It was nice. It was a nice Christmas. My mum's been quite emotional over the period, unfortunately, but I think that's to sort of be expected. We're doing relatively. We're doing well. What else have we got here? Do you think the old planets, Hurston and Artcorp, will ever get a makeover? Yes. Yes, they'll updated. They'll get new cloud tech added when they need them. They'll get graphical overhauls. I don't think they're really showing that age that much, but I do think they will get overhauls, whatever. When do you see Squadron 42 coming out? I mean, we don't know. We get limited amounts of information about Squadron 42, and Cloud Imperium keep it sort of very much under the hats with the development of Squadron, which is frustrating, especially with what I wanted game design and development-wise to be very open. Squadron 42 is surprisingly hidden and from our view. I will address this in a second, Hexodus. So I think it's possible that Squadron comes out at the end of this year, if we're incredibly lucky. I have been saying that since the end of 2016, though, that I think it's coming out at the end of the year, every year. So bear that in mind. We will start to see a more traditional media campaign and them announce a date for it at some point. I think it's quite possible that at this year's CitizenCon, they'll go, Squadron 42 is coming out! Not at CitizenCon, but they'll announce a date for it or say it's coming out. Then, do you see what I mean? They'll start a media campaign for it. Potentially, maybe. Hexodus said, just had an attempt to reset my character after draining my money accidentally due to large purchases. Didn't work, so now stuck with 741 E-mod stabilizers. Wow. So you clicked on max, and then you clicked on OK. Huh. Now that would be fine if those E-mod stabilizers were generated really slowly and you owned all of them. You know what I mean? You're like, guys, I just bought all of the E-mod stabilizers in the universe. What are you going to do? You're going to have to buy them off me. But that's not the case. That's upsetting. Can't even sell them back. Huh. Misclick equal bad time. Is there any possibility for a ring world? It is a possibility. However, Cloud Imperium probably would need to have a reason that it would physically exist. Like, they like to be quite realistic with certain things and gamified with others. And when do you think we'll hear from Chris Roberts again? I'm hoping we hear from him at some point this month. As far as I'm aware, he's in the UK now. And he's supposed to be over here to help finish out Squadron 42 and that sort of jazz. But yeah, I want to hear from him regularly again. Do you know what I mean? Hey, Board, did you have a chance to dig up data on the monthly average players actually playing? No, not yet. It literally is on one of my things for a video that I'm planning to do later this month. I haven't even emailed CIG about it yet, so I will do that. What else have we got? Do you think the Polaris will start White Box this year? Isn't the Polaris in active production? Polaris is in active production, isn't it? I thought the Polaris is in active production. Maybe I'm wrong. I love the fact. Yeah, they're in active production. Let's find out. As far as I'm aware, they are. That's what I have in my notes. When do you think we'll see a Squadron 42 trailer or vertical slice again? When it is closer to completion. Basically, we're going to start to see lots more about Squadron 42 when it is much closer to completion, because then they don't want the hype to die down when they start actively talking about it. I hope all is well. Until server meshing, do you think CIG is actively trimming the burst where it can? The changes in mining nodes and how they spawn seems to indicate that. I think they're going to be testing and trying out lots of different things. So I think at some points, yes, they might be trimming. Some points they might be adding loads of stuff in. Obviously, they want all of the events at max player cap to work fine. So if they have to trim at other places, they sort of will. I mean, nice Chris Roberts cardboard car. He's really here by me. That's really him. See? You can tell by the way he doesn't move. Just like in real life, like he's stalking. Clever girl. What will be the best upgrade from a Sentinel to a bigger ship for bounty and a bit of trade, and why? Why not keep the Sentinel? I suppose if you want to do a bit more trading, you might want to expand. With bounty hunting, ships like the Cutlass Blue are genuinely pretty good. I mean, maybe you just want to sidestep to the Cutlass Blue. It depends on what other sort of gameplay you want to do, and at that sort of size, it's a bit of a weird one. I have 32 gigs of RAM. I actually downgraded the RAM when I upgraded to this computer, because got one of the newer AMD processors, which likes faster RAM. So I went 32 gigs of reasonably fast RAM. It was a better than 64 gigs of slow RAM. Also, Star Citizen is less RAM hungry than it used to be. Salty had saw us on this poor podcast. I hope we can see the three of you chatting again one day off the bed, and keep the noise down. Good night. Yeah, so I was talking to the artist previously known as Twerk the other day, old Salty Mike, and he was saying, yeah, we should do some stuff where we both were. So we probably will at some point. And I need to check on Source because I haven't talked to Source for a while. But I've become more of a recluse. Not didn't mean to be. I just sort of, obviously I was looking after my dad and stuff, and had a bit of an erratic time schedule, so I sort of broke off with all the other content creators that I had previously been working with. Why has the Retaliator Gold Standard been delayed until June? It was marked for ready for 3.15. So I think that they wanted to update some more parts of it and potentially bring modularity into it. That would be my expectation. Or it could just be that they reprioritised the team that was working on it to do something else. Do you believe that Lilania Addison is loosely based on Kistama? No. I think she's just a tech advocate that's sort of loosely based on general genius level people that you might see in like a film or whatever. No, be working with AI that's sort of like a clever, kind genius, but maybe isn't sort of like maybe has other flaws. But no, I don't think they are based on the UK opposition leader. Do you think the old plan, which we talked about earlier, the cargo factor, will this mean ships like the Mustang will finally be able to get rid of those boxes in the boot? So, maybe. So, does the cargo factor also mean that they're going to be updating the ships that are supposed to have cargo areas or boxes to actually be able to use them properly? Maybe it does. I mean, one of the things they could do is that they could allow cargo to exist in two states, physically and in the sort of inventory system that they currently have. That would also be a short-term solution for that. It's certainly steps towards that. I'm not sure if it's going to be done in 3.18 when we're having the refactor. Do you believe steel is overpriced? At least more so than all ships can be. Drop ships tend to be expensive, but Cutlass is a bit cheaper. So the Cutlass steel is vastly overinflated in price. Yeah. It's hugely expensive for what it is, in my opinion. Do we know when we're going to be able to get another planet? Any thoughts? It will be when we get Pyro. Hopefully we'll see Pyro in Q3, Q4 of this year. And then there'll be lots more planets. And do we know... that's what we'll talk about. It will take another system to have more planets, yes. Where are we on that? Do you think the Idris and Javelin will be released at the same time as Squadron 42? Around the same time is my expectation at the moment. They don't necessarily need to release Squadron 42 to have the Idris and Javelin done. Obviously, you see more and more of the Idris and Javelin every year in-game as they become things that we get to tour or we get to fight. So, certainly could see it before Squadron 42 comes out in-game. But there's sort of a mixture of do Cloud Imperium actually want to hold it back, partly, even though they say they're not going to, but are they because they want to have people wowed, and sort of like, ooh, when they're playing Squadron, does it take something away from Squadron having them in-game? Do you think I can make toad in the hole with chicken sausages? Yes, as long as you still use onions or an onion gravy, I think that will still be fine. It might be called something different from a toad in the hole if you use non-pork sausages, though. But it's effectively a toad in the hole. I have to say stuff like that because Zin is a active food snob who got banned from r/food for calling people out for not doing their food appropriately or correctly. Some people saying that they made homemade food. She questioned them on it, and they'd used packet food, and she got very angry, and then she was banned. Though she's appropriate to be angry. Wouldn't a ring world be a Xi'an thing? Maybe. I'm not super hot on Star Citizen lore. I know a reasonable amount. But you mean ring world pretty much like Halo, yeah? When do you think the larger ships, like the Kraken, would be brought in-game? Do you think there's a want to bring ships like the Kraken in-game because they're great as pirate outposts and things to assault for missions? But that we have no indication of when the Kraken's going to be in-game. When do you think we could see base building? That they're working on base building now. It is actively in production in multiple ways, from their new outposts to the system, the Rastar system, and the UI for building bases for players. How far it is along and how far it's going to be until they're done, I don't know. What's your favourite ship manufacturer and why is it Drake? So I've got a lot of love for Drake, Aegis, and Crusader. Can you see them making small and medium farming ships? Yes. Yeah. I mean, they might not be biome-based ships, but they might be in some way used for farming. They could be hydroponics-based or something like that. And this point, is it beneficial for CIG as a company to continue to be so secretive and constrictive of Squadron 42's progress? So, I would like to see more on Squadron. I always think more is better. I sort of vaguely understand that, yeah, they want to hold it back until there's a straight where they know they've got a hard release date, they know they're going to make it, and then they start advertising it, hyping it, and then that is the best for sales for the mainstream. But it is not as fair to longer term backers. What is the cargo refactor? So the refactor of cargo for 3.18, at least it's planned for 3.18, is going to mean that cargo is more physicalized in ships. It has it can be loaded and unloaded. There's times associated with loading and unloading cargo and costs to that. And you'll start to see people be able to loot things potentially. You'll be able to rent hangars and hangar space, and that will be important to where you store cargo, things like that. So it allows for a huge amount more stuff to be done with cargo as they start to begin to physicalize it more and more. I've got... So, typically I used to have hundreds, genuinely, of tabs open in Chrome, especially when I had 64 gigs of RAM. Now I've got a lot less, but that's just because I've got a lot better at managing it. So I'll tell you how much RAM I'm using on my Chrome tabs now, significantly less than I used to use. Yeah, I'm only using 6 gigs. 6 gigs of RAM on Chrome tabs. I think my highest I've been when I've been on stream before is 14 gig. And someone was like, "What?" Like, yeah, I have a lot of tabs open. If Chris Roberts did remove himself from CIG similar to how Richard Garriott had been done, do you think Star Citizen and Squadron 42 would suffer? Yeah, I do. It's Chris's vision. It's Chris's game, and he sort of brought that together. You might not agree with the way he manages all of it, but and that's why they've got people like Aaron and that sort of stuff to focus on getting it done. But Chris is still incredibly important. Just wondering, in your honest opinion, do you think the Openverse will ever come out as a stable actual release? Yes, 100%. I have very little doubts about that. And there are some doubts, because I'm a rational, reasonable human. 2, love the game and the idea, but can't stop thinking, is it a little too slow, little too big of a bite to be realistically done? No, I mean, they've got the time and the money afforded to them to do it. You could look at other games and go, oh, this is feature creep, or this is bloat, and how are they ever going to be done? Well, given enough time and enough money and enough developers, and the sort of rate they're going at now, they're obviously, it looks like they are going to get it done. There's lots of other criticisms you could levy at it. I mean, still think it's reasonable to say, look, it's going to be an endeavour, it's never going to be done exactly as you expected it to be. That's probably true. Everyone has a totally different idea of how every individual feature works. And so... but I do genuinely think it's going to be done. I do think it's going to be Squadron 42 and Star Citizen are going to be genuinely great games. I don't think I'm going to enjoy all of the gameplay that Star Citizen has to offer, but I'll avoid that and do the gameplay I do like, because there's going to be quite a lot of it. Do you think they intend to get server meshing sorted before they release Squadron 42? Yes. I mean, but the Squadron... So, yes. But I think server meshing is something that we're going to start to see a lot of this year. They need at least some of server meshing, because some of the components are directly related to the core of the way the game works. And Squadron 42 basically just says that the server and the client are the same computer. But that's integrated in some of the way the game operates, rather than it's needed for Star Citizen, which it's not. It's not needed technically for Squadron 42, but it is because it's integrated. You see what I mean? Is there any time frame for when physical component damage will arrive? I mean, I've wanted it for ages. So physicalized components and physical damage are super important to the game. That then allows a lot of stuff to be significantly more balanced and tested better. I'm hoping we see it this year. You think the cargo refactor will finally bring the cargo container to the Aurora? I hope so. As I said earlier, I don't know if it is going to include that, but it is. I hope it does. Will there be more ways to break out of prison? Yes. I will. Break in and out of prison, I believe, is the plan in the future. Does Zin have her own channel? Not properly, although I might start to encourage her to do so. Can we agree the game has the best? This game has the best music. So I do think Star Citizen's music is fantastic, and it is the most polished part of the game, the music and the sound system. Yeah. When we have ship and ship spawning, I'm hoping we get it with 3.18. Where we have the ability to remote open the bay doors. Potentially, they have talked about that. They have said that it might be a thing. How long has Squadron 42 development been tied to Star Citizen? Pretty much since the beginning. I mean, it's the same core game and engine. Do you have a plan or plan to have an RP in-game persona with a verse backstory? I mean, I'll do some silly stuff like that. I'll do some reporting stuff. I'll do some silly characters for sure, Simon. When do you think Persistent Hangers will release again? So currently, they are expected to release in 3.17. I hope that is... And when they are released, like 3.17 is quite a hefty patch after quite a light patch. Now, will all the features that are planned for 3.17 make it? Probably not. Will most of them? Hopefully. I'm hoping we see Retaliator Gold Standard for 3.18 at the moment. My expectation. Do you know if year over year the backlog of ships to be completed is increasing or decreasing? Decreasing, I mean. There's not that many ships left to complete. They're playing through the ships relatively quickly. Well. When do you think there will be a vehicle weapon reset button to be implemented to fix loadout bugs on ships like the Redeemer Gatling? I don't know. Hopefully there doesn't need to be a reset button. Hopefully there just isn't the problems in the first place. Do you see what I mean? Do you think a stable official release will come before the list of promised features is completely done? Yes. So, but that comes down to your definition of list of promised features. And there's going to be a lot of stuff that they'll work on after a initial release of the game and on the shelf release, in my opinion. Like, for example, playing as an alien. Not actually a promised feature, but an expected feature. But there'll be stuff. There'll be 100 star systems, for example. That'll be well after the initial release. Yeah? Is Squadron 42 going to be co-op? You might be able to play some of these Squadron 42 missions after, or in like Arena Commander or something like that. I think maybe as co-op, but not the Squadron 42 game itself is not co-op as far as I'm aware. It was going to be, and then they decided not to make it. And do you think 3.18 will be the last 3.x patch? I don't know. I'm hoping so, because I'd like 3.19 to actually be 4.0, which is when they plan to release, in 4.0, they plan to release the Pyro system, jump points, server meshing, stuff like that. When Nyx and Pyro system release, do you think CIG will increase the server play cap? I'm hoping that we'll have the start of server meshing, and then that will allow for that. However, if they've got sharding, they don't technically need to increase the player server cap with those new star systems, because you're actually moving between them, potentially to a different shard, or same shard, but, well. In the background, we've got various things being shown from CitizenCon and gameplay that me and Zeton have done, or some of the tech that CIG have shown off, the new outposts and that sort of stuff. So this is Star Citizen's Persistent Universe in the Pyro system and the new outposts, showing off one of the new missions, the Dacian Artifact, which will apparently be in the game in the not too distant future. Do you think we'll ever see enormous crashing waves from oceans? I think we'll see some liquid physics and waves, Do you think persistent version where we don't lose money or assets will happen during 2022? So will we have a live release, no more resets? We're not going to have no more resets. We're not going to have that sort of thing until we hit beta, and then even after beta, we might not. They still might do a reset when they go live. So still a while. We might have a year or 2 years without any resets, though, potentially. I mean, I do think we're going to see when they start doing server meshing and stuff like that. I do think we'll see resets, but they'll do them when they need to do them. Anything you proud of BoredGamer or looking forward to this year for Star Citizen? Feature you'd love that's currently not expected. Physical components, physical damage is super essential to me. Any economy-based feature, base building, but I suppose things like any dynamic universe sim elements coming in, because we know they're very close with them at the end of 2021. So all that sort of stuff. Being able to sell stuff in shops is expected for 3.17. What do you think about games having an NFT business model? Personally, I hate it as it means companies can just sell stock, meaning they can run away with the money, plus paying for real life money instead of in-game money sounds way too stressful. So I have not seen any great NFT business models yet. I mean, there's things like Axie Infinity, which work pretty well. People quite like. So that's sort of Pokemon with NFTs, and that, especially during COVID, was very popular, especially in South American countries, I believe. So NFTs work interestingly for certain things, like tickets, so ticketing. Other things would NFTs be great for? I mean, they work well in Pokemon-type games. I don't like technically the ships in Star Citizen, because they're nameable, are effectively NFTs. Only you can own that one. But they're not, but they are. They don't exist on a decentralized ledger. Other things are NFTs good for. I mean, people would say for art and stuff like that, but I'm thinking of practical, less polarized uses. I'm not innately against NFTs, but I want to see them refined and used more appropriately. Do you know what I mean? Would you prefer if CIG stopped adding features for a few patches and focused on bug fixing? No, I want them to try and get a version 1 of the game. I want them to try to get to a near beta phase and then polish and bug fix. But I don't think you polish and bug fix first, because I think it's counterproductive. Actually, Theatres of War would be a good way to do co-op Squadron 42 missions. I know, right? Happy New Year. Happy New Year to peoples. On a scale of Super Mario N64 to Subnautica, how excited are you for underwater vehicles? I don't think we're going to have them in the same scale or style or interest as Subnautica. I think Subnautica does fantastic underwater exploration, and Star Citizen's focus is not underwater exploration. It might have a bit of it in the game, but what do you expect the links to be? Just a more refined, pretty-looking Urza rover, basically. Maybe better scanners, slightly less cargo room. No cargo. I don't know. Do you think the RSO Apollo could come sooner rather than later? I don't think we're going to see the RSO Apollo for a little while, to be honest. I don't think it's a priority to them. When are they back from holiday break? I think tomorrow. But you'll start to see them much more active next Monday. So that's the 10th onwards. Do you think Star Citizen will have underwater exploration? It's supposed to, as far as I'm aware, have at least some limited underwater exploration and swimming and things like that as well. Thresher more when. Hello, my lad. Do you believe the current roadmap progress tracker on deliveries is reasonably accurate? The progress... also deliveries. So, it is their current targets. However, we might see some changes to that in the next couple of weeks as they do their sort of scheduling meetings in January. And it will sort of be pretty accurate for the next quarter, reasonably accurate for the next 2 quarters, and then a bit more sort of rough. Oh. It would not be called that, Simon. Although I think maybe we should name it that. Do you feel that we will see even less Chris Roberts this year? How could we see less of him? No, I don't think that's possible. I do think... I'm hoping that he is much more active this year. I think it's reasonable to expect that he will be as well. Yeah, so NFTs largely unregulated at the moment, as with crypto. It's relatively unregulated. So just be sort of careful if you're exposing yourself or investment to that. Hashtag not investment advice, not financial advice. Not a financial advisor. You're at your own risk. Do what you want. I'm not your dad. Do you think they'll be adding swimming for RP purposes? I know they're adding swimming. You want to roleplay? It's not for RP purposes, but you can roleplay swim if you want. Do you think they will get any unannounced ships this year? Yes. Do you know what they might be? Mobile refinery I'm expecting. Obviously, like new hover bike. There's going to be a load of different variants and other ships and vehicles that they'll be releasing this year. Do you think having Theatres of War is an imperative feature to give veteran players consistent PvP and new players an awe-inspiring experience? I don't think Theatres of War is essential at all. However, I think it might be useful for Clan Imperium, and it might be something that they want to... that they can get out into the mid-term that then keeps players interested and active in the Star Citizen hype. If they do it right. I think people are disappointed by games like Battlefield 2042 and things like that. That if they have a moderately polished, quite fun, potentially even free-to-play version of Star Citizen, we don't know. We don't know the model for Theatres of War. Or just buy once. How are they going to do Theatres of War? It's an interesting one. What's your org? I run a BoredGamer org, although I say run quite loosely. I haven't used it for anything yet. Has there been any news involving animals, like the Pyro Crab and the Space Cow? Not really. We know that they're working on the Pyro Crab, Space Yeti, Space Cow, Brantas, Zephypods, all that sort of stuff. But we don't have indications when they're going to be in the game. I'm hoping we start to see bits of them this year. The Space Whale is something else we're likely to see at some point soon. So I don't have to ask, could you start each stream when you think the Corsair will be out? I do. It's the first thing I say. Corsair's in active production now, as far as I'm aware. Was it the Polaris of the Corsair that was about to go into active production? Like they're ready to go with it? Bear with me. The Corsair is in active development. They're whiteboxing it, and they're doing pre-production work. They have some teams digging into it. Currently. It's early days, though. The Polaris interior concept work is complete. All its metrics for its hangars have all been completed and maybe made a little bit bigger. You can fit a much larger range of ships there now. It's not massive or anything, just they've made it so you'll be able to get heavy fighters in there. They've made changes to its loadout. It has captive shield generators, cooler, power plant, and some increased component sizes. They've been bringing it up to current standards. They will be giving us an update on all of that soon. It is ready to start active development when they have manpower and scheduling. There you go. That is active. The Polaris may be in active production now, but it was preparing for active production. So, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the little tap of money. You shoot a space whale if you saw one. No, I think they're beautiful, calm creatures. You land on them and then you extract resources from them, like space ambergris or the limpets. Will fruit be equipable as a weapon this year? I think you're about to throw it. I think you're about to actively throw it. I like the idea of that. Do you think 10 years in development is not enough for AAA games? Well, I mean, it's going to be a lot longer in development. I popped up a YouTube video on YouTube, sorry, Bait and Pug, with Bunker Mission in Star Citizen versus group of theatres of War Style Combat and ED. The ED version with Star Citizen graphics would be awesome. I need to do some more research into Elite Dangerous, especially the newer stuff. Any walking vehicles on the horizon? Saw the concept one. So there's obviously the Titan suits that are planned for the game, but we don't know when they're going to turn up. What's your most anticipated features for 3.17? So probably persistent hangars. Persistent hangars and selling stuff to shops and being able to sell your gear and stuff. I think it's so important that it's obviously steps towards that cargo overhaul that's coming in 3.18. But yeah. Background footage is from CitizenCon. It's the Pyro mission they had at the new outposts. Here's a question. Do you think that some sort of ships, items, etc. that a player acquires in Squadron 42 would make a transition to the Persistent Universe as part of player's inventory? You might get some flair and stuff. It's certainly going to give you access to potentially buy the F8 Lightning and military gear in the Persistent Universe by completing certain sections of Squadron. It'll probably give you some items. I think that's the sort of thing they want to do. Love your face. What comes after Nordmus? I don't know. I haven't decided on my Nord advert for January yet. I'll work that out tomorrow morning and then leave that with Zin while I do some chores and then work out the video for the rest of the day. I can make up a new Nord season. Don't you worry. It'll be quality. A lot of people watch my videos now just to see my Nord ads at the end. Where will personal hangars coming be located? Probably just in the same place that the rest of the hangars are at the moment. It'll be the hiring of them sort of there. How do you feel about the failed Space Marine FPS project? What would be your critique to CIG? What? Star Marine? Theaters of War? You need to be more specific. They just haven't finished it. The thing that I did get upset about was that they sort of just canned Ender's Game style Satable, but that was due to CIG being very poor at communicating with Ilphonic and vice versa. Kaniak, thank you very much. The sub, very much appreciated. Simon Wolf, thank you very much for the sub. The best place on YouTube. I believe that's to be a lie or incorrect, but I appreciate the love anyway. Thank you so much. Oh, there's lots of money. Thank you. I appreciate all the money. Do you know if Nyx will be released soonish, alone or with other systems? So I think we're going to see Pyro and then reasonably quickly afterwards Nyx. What do you think Tier 0 salvage and repair will look like? At the very least, it will be using a hand tool to repair holes in the hull and strip hulls and then repair them with that same stuff in the can. I'm hoping that it has ship-based salvage like it's supposed to have now that will allow ships like the Vulture to also do that. Very basic, very similar to mining. I'm curious to hear your opinion on future growth for players and fundraising. And might the trend of the last 2 years continue? I do think it will continue because I think there's more and more players seeing the game, and it's expanding out to more and more horizons, and more of the game keeps on getting completed each year. So I do think it's just more hype, more mainstream every year. And I'm expecting that to continue as long as CIG don't terribly miss the mark. Do a Valentine's Day Nord commercial at some point. Would you prefer a mortar backpack weapon set? Would you prefer? Do you like? I like mortars in games. I like indirect fire weapons. God bless you. Thank you. Do you think we'll see Pro this year? I'm hoping we see it Q2, Q3 or Q4 next year. No, it is next year. I'm hoping we see it Q3 or Q4 of this year, 2022. There you go. Any news about a revamped CIG website? I bloody well hope so. There's going to be no new news about it. Would you know they're revamping the star map in game? I believe they're sort of trying to integrate the Galactopedia, the website star map, a bit of an updated version of that in game, and for it to be significantly better. I think that's one of the things that the Montreal's studio are working on at the moment. Has Star Atlas not been seeded with the clear plagiarism of Star Citizen? For example, a lot of their ship models are clear rip-offs. And they're not 100% rip-offs. Like, they're not using exactly the same art. They look similar. Obviously, Star Atlas is NFT's Star Citizen. That's what it looks to be with no game at all, rather than something playable. But I don't want to... I mean, I'm not looking at it as a serious project, Star Atlas, personally. But I'm not going to slander them. Just in case. I don't know if they're litigious. What do you think our 400 million funding reward will be? Every 100 million has got one. I don't know. Hopefully we'll get a letter from the chairman and something silly. A beret saying $400 million and all I got was this beret. I'm hoping we see Pyro this year. Yeah. For ship repair, would you rather have to deal with procedure-generated damage from projectile paths or predetermined damage spots that can be localized to certain areas of the ship? That is a really good question, and I suppose it depends on what is viable to do in-game. I think I prefer procedure-generated damage based on physical damage locations where you actually hit. But it's going to be a mixture of hull damage, I believe, which will be based physically where it hits-ish, and then physical damage to components, which will then need to repair. So sort of a mixture of the two, almost. We'll have to wait and see whatever's viable and sensible for the game. Do you miss Levski? I don't personally. I didn't really go there much. It wasn't much around that area. It's a cool location to visit. Player viable, not viable cruisers. Yeah, no. I mean, I'd hope to see cruisers, battle cruisers, and a larger range of ships in game that aren't in game yet. And I hope that they don't have such an aggressive sales strategy in the future that we can just buy everything in game. I am going to dash off because I have to do some real-life chores. Checking my mother. I'm going around my house, my mate's house, to play some Age of Sigmar today, as this is a bank holiday. What do you think about the drama with the 12th day of Lunarmia being a wallpaper? Hopefully an April Fool's joke, maybe. No, I think that's fine. Like, the Lumania gifts, Humanelia gifts, the Space Christmas gifts, it was a silly little calendar. Should they... The last day's reveal should have been the Banu knife or something like that, yeah? So people were like, ooh, cool. They just got it the wrong way around, and people expected maybe more than they should have been expecting. It was a few little gifts. It was cool. I liked it. I will leave you with someone else. What do you think about the draw? And that's literally what I just talked about. Cool. Perfect. I appreciate all the money that people sent me. I like money. Genuinely, thank you. It was appreciated. I just said money to myself in the stream. yes, with these streams, I love people turning up and just asking questions, sort of whatever, and sharing their opinions. It's super important. So I super appreciate that. Thank you very much for watching today. I'm going to pass you over to Salty Mike, or he's my lover. But that's a lie. He's not. He's not my lover. That'd be weird. Don't think his wife would like that either, or me, or him. But yes, thank you very much for watching today. Very much appreciated. You take care. Have a great 2022, and I'll see you soon. Lots of videos coming out soon. We'll be starting doing videos properly again tomorrow, I believe, because it's bank holiday today, and we've been slow. We've been lazy. Thanks a lot, guys. You take care. Peace.